Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. This is your boy Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about NXT from February the 3rd, 2021. So, Edge was tonight's guest, and the internet flipped the fuck out because, of course, they did. Edge was on. What? Edge ain't supposed to be in NXT. What are you doing? They just trying to counter program. What are they doing? It's like, well, the Royal Rumble winner checks out all the champions. That's kind of what they do. They do it every year. I mean, they did it last year with Charlotte, right? Well, not exactly. I think Charlotte got challenged last year more than she actually just came to NXT to make a challenge. But she made some stops to NXT. Anytime anybody from WWE makes a stop in NXT for any reason, to cut a promo, to further a storyline, any reason, then people tend to just lose their fucking minds. Meanwhile, AEW has new people popping up literally all the fucking time who don't work there. You know, they're just so scared of losing 1 week of ratings that, it's like, come on, come the fuck on. Edge is not going to be on NXT every week. Relax. Calm the fuck down. Calm your tits. Calm down. He was on NXT this week, and probably, maybe he'll be on there one more time. But I really enjoyed what Edge did on NXT. It was really good. I can't wait to talk about this show. This show was actually pretty good. Much better than it was last week, which was not bad. I watched it again a little bit later, and I was not as hard on it. But I like this episode a lot more. So let's get into it. So the first match was Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez defeating Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. This match was better than it had any reason to be. Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro do very slow, somewhat methodical lucha libre. And lucha libre is not meant to be done slow, but they obviously need more time. They need more reps. This is why they have house shows. Like, this is what house shows are for. House shows are to break out the kinks, to get, make it a little smoother. But they are really good. The Lacey Lane, who is Caden Carter in WWE now. I've seen her in the Indies. I think she's better now than she was. Casey Catanzaro, I don't remember ever seeing her in the Indies though. But this wasn't bad. This was not bad. Now there was kind of a little bit of botchiness between Catanzaro and Kai Early. It ended up being like a head scissor, but I don't know what the hell she was trying to do, but she kind of botched it. But Casey Catanzaro did this pretty cool thing where she climbed the side of a fixture and she jumped off of it. But she did it so fast that it didn't come across being staged and it didn't come across being phony. Because she had bumped, they bumped the heels. Dakota's outside and Raquel's outside. She kind of jumped over them or kind of climbed up around them, climbed up the thing really fast and then jumped off before they had a chance. They weren't, basically what I'm saying is they weren't standing underneath her waiting forever for her to fall. By the time they were done selling, she was coming down, So it looked pretty cool. It fit the match. They gave a lot to Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter because they knew they were losing, of course. So they gave them a lot. Casey Catanzaro did her flippity-doo finish, and I guess Dakota Kai was late on breaking it up, so Raquel Gonzalez had to kick out of it. So it was cool, and Raquel Gonzalez beat Casey Catanzaro with the choke bomb, which is almost exactly the same move that Nia Jax did to Dana Brooke, and the internet broke and started saying that Nia Jax is the most dangerous wrestler of all time. It's almost exactly the same move. And I think Raquel Gonzalez might have put a little bit more stank on it than Nia Jax actually did. If you look at the move, it's pretty much the same fucking move. It was basically a power bomb into a choke slam. And which makes sense because, you're trying to deal with women and, the upper body strength is a completely different thing. So they pick them up in a power bomb position. So now the weight is evenly distributed across their shoulders. But then if the woman is small enough, they can just pick her up like a choke slam and throw her down. And that's simple, And the internet lost their fucking mind when Nia Jax did it. But, because it's Nia Jax, obviously. People just have an irrational hatred of Nia Jax. But this was the same move that she used. So Wade Barrett got a picture of Hacksaw Jim Duggan and an apple pie for becoming an American citizen. That was cool. I like Vic Joseph. Vic Joseph is very likable. I said last week that he has pretty good expressions. Like he shows emotion, very well, and he shows like confusion and stuff like that really well too. But he's just like a really likable guy. I hope they don't really like tear him apart when it's eventually time for him to go to Raw or SmackDown or something like that. He really should take Tom Phillips' job. Anyway, Tony Storm, our cherry-lipped pot goddess, cuts a promo, basically about how Io Shirai has been untouchable against everybody in NXT except her. And now she's coming for the title, and she called Mercedes Martinez a dead weight. And Mercedes Martinez can't stop her from winning the title. And she had a match tonight that we'll get to momentarily. So then William Regal is in the office with Edge. And they're in there, I guess they're reminiscing because William Regal has got brass knuckles. And the old set of brass knuckles William Regal used to use. And they're actually like on like, it looked like they might have been, I wouldn't say bronzed, but they're like on display, And I thought to myself, like, why don't they just have an NXT brass knucks tournament? Like old wrestling promotions used to have a brass knucks championship. It was basically their version of a hardcore title. If I believe the NWA may have had a brass knucks championship. But it was basically like a hardcore title, I'm not saying make a hardcore champion in NXT. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like a tough man tournament where you could do something where you get like a lot of the saltier guys in there and they get the stretch dudes, or, you do some type of gimmick where every match is 2 out of 3 falls or something like that. But it's meant to gauge their toughness and award William Regal's brass knucks to somebody in an NXT tournament. I thought that would be pretty fun. Leon Ruff versus Austin Theory. I'm pretty sure everybody who's trying to figure out the combined age of wrestlers and matches are thrilled about this, because this has a combined age of under 50. Because Austin Theory is like 22 and Leon Ruff is only like 25. So it's like 48. It's like the same age Edge is now. Is the combined age of Leon Ruff and Austin Theory. Austin Theory now has a sort of version of the Gargano theme. With the in the background. I just kind of be like, oh. Candice LeRae has a similar thing where it's slightly different. But the Austin Theory theme is almost completely different, but you still hear the little operatic notes in the back. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it a lot. Leon Ruff is not bad. He's not great, though. Like, he kind of repeats a lot of the same stuff. Like, he's not growing as a performer. Austin Theory, to me, he's not bad. I watched a lot of his stuff when he was in Evolve on the network. I watched a lot of Austin Theory. He's not bad. He just has a problem, getting his personality to come out in his work. Like, he can be, the cocky, arrogant heel. Now he's supposed to be like a meathead, right? But he's supposed to be like this cocky, arrogant heel, but he has a problem. He comes across like a workhorse. The Benoit problem, where you don't pander to the crowd, you don't really elicit a reaction, you just kind of work. Like, he has those tendencies where he needs to stop and let things breathe. And Leon Ruff needs to vary up his spots and stuff like that. But he's a likable guy. He's a very likable guy, and he's got a great story. Johnny Gargano, of course, was interfering a lot, trying to be a distraction. Leon Ruff kept kicking him in the face and eventually knocked him down. And Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell came out there to try to carry him away, which led to Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart coming out there to beat them up. And so Gargano was still out there, and Leon Ruff played possum. He pretended like Gargano hit him, and he laid down and was selling, and the referee saw Gargano and threw Gargano out, which was pretty cool. I thought that was a nice spot. I thought it was funny. It was interesting. But Austin Theory just beat him with the ATL, which is basically a TKO. And then he did it to him again post match, and he was going to hit him with a chair or a ring bell or something like that. And he got stopped by Dexter Loomis, who choked him out in the silence. I think that's what it's called, the silence. And while he was in the move, he managed to pull out a chunk of Austin Theory's hair, and then he smelled it, and I instantly became a lot less interested in Dexter Loomis. If he's going to be an absolute creep where he's smelling men's hair, look, we got a hair smelling motherfucker in the office. We don't need one on my TV doing my wrestling. No, stop sniffing people's hair. It's weird. Don't do that. We get a promo for Legado del Fantasma, who I love Legado del Fantasma. I love them so much. I'm glad they're actually getting a push now. Like, they've been together for a long time, but they haven't really been getting pushed. Now, NXT is starting to get some steam behind them. But basically, the vignette was that they're always in control, that they always take care of business, and that, NXT is the Legado del Fantasma's empire, and that, for their opponents, the end is near. And of course, that was them using Karrion Kross's one of his catchphrases, and that'll come back to bite them in the ass later. And I was super excited about that. Then we get the Tian Sha vignette, which I had to watch 3 times in order to It was good. It was dope. I had to really I was taking notes, so I had to go back and watch 2 or 3 times. It was like something out of Dynasty Warriors. You ever played that Dynasty Warriors video game? My brother loved that game because it's a simple game. You get an army, you pick a guy, Lu Bu, Lu Wei, or something like that. You get a sword, you go out there and you just start slaughtering motherfuckers with the sword. You just go out there and you fight them. It's armies, it's people everywhere. It's free range. You can run around and do whatever you want. And it's like you got battle maps and everything. Dynasty Warriors is so much fun. And I know it's probably got shit all to do with Dynasty Warriors because it's just Chinese. But that's kind of how I learned the bullshit Chinese history that I learned is from that in movies. So, but this is obviously fictional. But the story is about a prince who killed his father and ended up becoming a tyrant, and that he exiled his sister. His sister, while she was in exile, learned how to become a warrior from a dragon, so she could restore honor to her family. And with her newfound skills, she went back and she slayed her brother and took the crown for herself, but found that she has to instill fear in others in order to maintain power. So basically, this is what we're being told about Tian Sha. And basically, the master that is sitting on the throne that has to do with Xia Li is supposedly this thousands of year old princess who learned how to be a dragon master or something like that and murdered her brother. And very interesting, very, very interesting. I wonder how they're going to play this out. Are they going to go full camera magic and she's going to be like a undead super warrior? Now Tian Sha is not Xia Li. What I think is they're reenacting it, where Boa is going to be the older brother who's going to become a tyrant, and Xia Li is going to be the young sister who's going to, become the dragon warrior. Where you had in these situations, like if you saw the vignettes and everything, you saw that they did go through a lot of trials and tribulations, and they said that the dragon put the young girl through trials so that she could become a warrior and overthrow her brother. So if Boa is going to be her brother in this situation, we need Boa to actually do something. So I don't know if they're reenacting the story or if that's just a story they were telling us. Either way, it was very interesting. I'm interested in seeing where they go with it next. So the next match was Legado del Fantasma, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza versus Lucha House Party, Lince Dorado, and Gran Metalik. And this match was fire. I love this match. The match was dope. Gran Metalik was wearing a cat mask, which I thought was weird. Lince Dorado, he's wearing a cat mask too. But Lince Dorado is supposed to be like a cat, like a panther or something. But Gran Metalik, I don't know why he's wearing a cat mask. Maybe he just ran out of masks. But they did this spot where Gran Metalik crotched, I believe it was Raul Mendoza on the top rope. And then he did a hurricane runner from the top rope out outside the ring, and Raul Mendoza went on top of Joaquin Wilde. That was pretty crazy. Then Lindsay Dorado hit a very pretty moonsault on top of him. Raul Mendoza won the match when they did a running kick to a Russian leg sweep. So it was a combination finish, and that was pretty good. You know, I like both of these guys, man. I like both of these teams, rather. Lucha House Party, like I said, keep saying it, the name is really bothering me, but Legado del Fantasma, they smoking, dog. They really on fire. And they really found something with these characters. I want to see these guys develop a little bit more. They're a little too quiet for me. You know, I know that they're standing back so that Escobar can shine, but I want to see like some personality from these guys too. You know, especially as a little person, I think I've seen enough of DJZ. I kind of want something from Raul Mendoza though. MSK came out there to cut a promo after the match, because they're the next opponents. It's MSK versus Legado del Fantasma in the next round, the semifinals. And MSK cut promos, and it was not good. It was cringe. That's why you have promo class. And they haven't been there that long, so they need to get some promo class under there. Anybody who thinks like, oh, it's not developmental, look, watch Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter, where there's flashes of brilliance, and then there's some botching, and then there's some timing issues, and there's basic stuff that they can buff out with house shows and doing more reps, and then listen to MSK talk. Their promos are not good. They're very high energy, but they're very cringe too, and we don't need that. But this match should be pretty good. This match should rule. Hopefully, this match rules. So the next thing we get is Pete Dunne and the lads are showing up, and they intend to get them some Finn Balor. And Pete Dunne comes out there. Pete Dunne is under the age of 30, so I guess that should make people happy. Anyway, Pete Dunne comes out there, and he's like, I told you I wanted the NXT championship, so I broke your fingers. I don't think I need to make my message any clearer than that. And then here comes Finn Balor. And Finn Balor said, you want the shot? You got the shot. And then Finn Balor was just kind of like, and Pete Dunne was like, okay. Pretty much that was it. And then, Dunne told his boys to back off, and Balor got in the ring, and they were face to face. And they changed the takeover from just takeover to Takeover Vengeance Day. And I was like, NXT Takeover Vengeance is great. That's fantastic. That's old school WWE. Vengeance is a Ruthless Aggression era pay-per-view. That's boss. Vengeance Day? Just adding the word day ruined it. What the fuck is Vengeance Day? Who has a Vengeance Day? Just do Vengeance. That's awesome. Just leave it there. So Pete Dunne and Finn Balor are trying to intimidate each other with the coldest of stares. And you think you know me. And Edge comes out. And Edge adds so much to this. He put a lot of weight on this thing. So, Edge comes out and he's talking about, and the number one thing that he said is, in WWE, we put a lot of emphasis on the E. But on NXT, the emphasis is on that second W. He says he watches this show as a fan. And he sees fire. He sees passion. He sees intensity. And it was that fire, that passion, that intensity that he saw on this show that drove him to return to wrestling after 9 years. It pushed him. It motivated him. NXT motivated Edge to get his shit together and get back in the ring. How amazing is that? See, this is what I mean by, people, they don't get it. Edge is something else. I was never that big a fan of Edge when I was, he was on TV. He was okay. He was good. I didn't really become a fan until 2006 maybe. They had been pushing him for a while up to that point, but '06 I became a fan. But this Edge is so thoughtful, and it's so deep, you know, because he added so many different layers to this. Where yes, this is what NXT is about. NXT is about the wrestling. NXT is about the stripped down product. It's a little too gray for me, but a little too dark, but um, for the masses, I should say. But it is that's what the emphasis is, and the emphasis is on passion, on intensity, on skills, and it does make sense that it would reignite things within somebody who has been sitting at home for a long time. NXT would do it. Maybe you don't get into the stuff that they do on Raw and SmackDown. It's cool and all, but you don't really. It's not really your thing. But NXT was built to be the thing that that Triple H grew up on, the territory system. That's what NXT was built to be. NXT was built to be a territory, but also a developmental system / developmental system. Let's put it like that. But it was built to mimic a territory. And people were like, it's just Triple H's own indie promotion. What the fuck do you think a territory was? So most territories were independent. Not of the NWA, just independent of each other. They just happened to work together because the NWA would box you out if you didn't. Anyway, but he says that he sees a lot of himself in Pete Dunne. And Pete Dunne shrugged, like fuck. Which I could tell was not in the script because Edge responded and was like, I would have shrugged 10 years ago too, pal. And I was like, that was some great natural heel stuff where, he was trying to give you a compliment and you kind of fucking it off like, who cares? I don't care about that, And Pete Dunne's been around for a long time. Like he kind of got the rub from Triple H too during the United Kingdom tournament. Like Pete Dunne's been around for like 4 years. He's growing up in front of our eyes, believe it or not. But then Edge talking about Finn Balor. He says that you're operating on a different level. You're in a zone like I've never seen before. Like you're on a different level right now. And he says that, he's never been the NXT champion. I've never had that. That interests me. That is interesting to me. Because, and it makes sense because he just said NXT motivated him to come back. It made him passionate. And he says, that's intriguing to me. That if he hasn't made his decision by the time they have their match may make his mind up for him. And I was like, oh, it's not going to happen, right? It's not going to be Edge versus whomever, Finn Balor, Karrion Kross, Pete Dunne for the NXT title. That's not happening. But I love that you have to legitimize the belt, as a contender. How would it look if that title wasn't even up for discussion, right? Like a lot of people, when Undertaker won the Royal Rumble, rather, they had the champions line up, right? A lot of people, you probably saw this meme before, so you probably know where I'm going with it, where Undertaker stood face to face with these guys. And then there was that scene where he stood face to face with Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley was the ECW champion at the time. And people thought it was a joke that Undertaker would even think of feuding with Bobby Lashley for the ECW title. They don't get, you have to legitimize the belt, which means every belt needs to be an option. You gotta make that champion an option. We know that you're not going to pick the NXT belt. We know that. But make it an option. And give us a reason why it would be a good option. And that's what Edge did. He showed up. He told us what the best thing about NXT is, what NXT means to him, and why he would want to be NXT champion. All at the same time, in one promo, on one appearance. Dude is a master. That's masterful shit. And he put so much emphasis on this one match because he says he's going to be watching this match and specifically this match could change the course of history. But of course, we know it's not going to happen. You know, and it shouldn't. If we're being honest, it shouldn't happen. The NXT title shouldn't be the main event of WrestleMania. It just shouldn't happen. But it was interesting. Like, you have to legitimize these belts. You have to make them seem like an option. That's why I'm kind of, Bianca Belair not making the rounds. It's kind of like we get it that, Sasha Banks is the dream match. We get that for a lot of people. Myself, kind of. But, legitimize all the belts. Bianca Belair is in a situation where she's never won any of them. Like, maybe, like, if she had been the NXT champion already, it probably would have been like, okay, I've been the NXT champion already, so, maybe we'll test the Raw champion, maybe we'll test the SmackDown champion. But she needs to make her rounds too, but maybe they'll do that later, or maybe they just say, skip it, because they didn't do that with Asuka or Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, the moment Nakamura won the Royal Rumble, he was like, AJ Styles. And he was just like, okay, yeah. Because that's what the match everybody wanted. They were like, why not waste everybody's time? But with Edge, there is some question marks there. And because the question marks exist, then, you have to legitimize the NXT belt too. And I'm pretty sure nobody had a problem with that. So, it was good stuff. And it was made even better by the stuff he did later, but we'll get to that in a moment. So Johnny Gargano is talking about Austin Theory going to beat up Dexter Lumis, and Candice LeRae is going to win her match. And then he finds out he has to wrestle Kushida for the NXT title. And he, of course, flips out because the girl said the bad word, which is Kushida. You can't say Kushida around him. So he says he wants to get this girl fired because, she's talking nonsense. She wants to get this girl fired. So he makes this girl walk to William Regal's office, where he knocks on the door and Kushida answers the door. And Kushida tells him he has to have an appointment, that Mr. Regal is busy. And so they, of course, get into a fight, and Johnny Gargano hurts his elbow or something like that. I guess that's going to play into the match where, Gargano's going to end up probably losing. And they're going to say, oh, it was because Kushida hurt his elbow before. So match 4, Jessie Kamea, who is apparently now a member of the Riot Stone brand with Aaliyah, versus our cherry lipped Paul Goddess, Toni Storm. And I instantly wrote, like, isn't this heel versus heel? And I should have known better. The match was probably like a minute and a half in before it was thrown out. Mercedes Martinez stormed the ring to confront Toni Storm for calling her dead weight. Jessie Kamea stupidly tried to get involved and got knocked down. Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm got into a fight, and then Io Shirai came out to watch them, and then eventually she just did a moonsault on them. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm all right with this. I'm thinking our cherry lit Paul Goddess should win the title, or Mercedes Martinez. She's obviously an option. But if you're gonna, you want to roast my almonds, you know what to do. You know to pull that trigger, and they know what they're doing, man. But I really would have preferred for it to be Io Shirai and Toni Storm 1-on-1. That's just me because I hate triple threat matches. They could have did Io Shirai versus Mercedes Martinez by now. You could have did it on TV. I don't see why we need to have a triple threat match. I guess it's going to break down to 1-on-1 matches anyway. Usually that's what triple threat matches do. Like, you have the 1-on-1 match, then you have another 1-on-1 match, then maybe you had that third 1-on-1 match. And it's like you could have just had one and been done with it, But whatever. Triple threat matches, whatever. Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah, that's fine. I don't mind that. I know they were in the tournament together, but they both also need some reps. You have a lot of people sitting at home that could be working because they don't have house shows. Like, I believe Vanessa Bourne has been sitting at home for almost a year. Like, Santana Garrett, when she showed up to the Royal Rumble, I hadn't seen her that year. I don't know. Well, certainly not this year. I don't know when the last time I saw Santana Garrett. So, like, you have a lot of these women, they basically not doing anything. They're in limbo between Raw and SmackDown. There's no NXT house shows for them to work. And unless they expand, a third show, because there's 205 lives, but that's mostly for the men. They probably need to have a women's show. And I've been saying they need to have a women's show for a long time. They need to have like an NXT women's show where it's just them and it's like 30 minutes or something like that just for the women. That would be great because they need some reps. Why else would they be on the roster? So Kurt Stallion is finally going to get his match for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship after Santos Escobar running from him for like 3 months, 6 months maybe. Probably not, actually more like 3 months. And he says that this is the biggest opportunity of his life, but he finally backed Escobar into a corner, and he's about to make Texas proud. And I just wrote down he's Kurt Von Erich, because that's what he's doing. He's doing a Von Erich gimmick. And when they had this match, I thought to myself, maybe, just maybe, Kurt Stallion will win the title. Kurt Stallion is good. I watched Kurt Stallion when he was in Evolve. I've seen him in some other places. He's a decent worker. They've kind of trapped him in 205 Live, because he's not completely TV ready. But, he's a young guy, not bad looking, can do, a lot of the stuff that they want him to do. He could sell, he could tell a story. He got the rub from guys like Riddle and Drew Gulak and stuff like that. So he's got skills. It's just that, he needs to finish up a little bit. So Kurt Stallion loses to Santos Escobar. Santos Escobar has been champion for 245 days. It has been an epic run. Jordan Devlin has been Cruiserweight champion even longer than this, and they call Jordan Devlin the linear Cruiserweight champion. So this is one of the very few occasions where I needed some clarification on what that meant. And the lineal champion is the man who beat the man. So the lineal champion would be the man who beat the previous champion. So both are the Cruiserweight champion, but Jordan Devlin is the lineal champion as he actually won the title from the previous Cruiserweight champion. So he beat Angel Garza, even though he didn't beat Angel Garza. He won a Fatal 4-Way, I believe it was. So he's technically the lineal Cruiserweight champion. So, to be quite honest, would you call Santos Escobar the interim Cruiserweight champion? They haven't used that language, so they said basically saying it's a disputed title run. But both of them are pretty big runs because Jordan Devlin has been champion for about a year now. And, Santos Escobar has been champion for 245 days. So it's been an epic run for both of these guys. They're both very good. I can't wait till they finally have the match between the two of them. Hopefully Santos Escobar is still the champion when they have it. And they should main event a pay-per-view, if we're being honest. It should be the Cruiserweight champions, the undisputed Cruiserweight champion, and it should happen. And it should happen at some point this year. But Santos Escobar basically, dog walked Kurt Stallion. Kurt Stallion did a lot of selling because Santos Escobar was working the back and the neck, which he had injured the previous week when he attacked the man from behind. And we see Scarlett. Scarlett is watching on, and Santos Escobar noticed her, and she was he smiled, and he was trying to work him over for her. So he basically stretched Stallion for about 5 or 10 minutes and then beat him with the Phantom Driver. Stallion did a pretty good comeback, He got a pretty good comeback, but he ended up losing to the Phantom Driver plus the double underhook face buster. And, Santos Escobar was, still the king of the cruiserweights. And then here comes Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross comes marching down to the ring. Legado del Fantasma tries to stop him. He bumps both of them. He then picks up Raul Mendoza and jams him against the wall, against the plexiglass, and dumped him on the floor in like a powerbomb position. Then he gets in Santos Escobar's face. And then, and he tells him, he said, I'm going to give you the gift of time. He says, we have an ever-growing problem. But I'm going to give you the gift of time, but it cuts both ways. And he said he talks about, he'll give him some time to think about the inevitable. Then he told him to run along. And Santos Escobar the whole time was completely unfazed, completely unconcerned. He was not scared. He did not sell this guy at all. I thought that was the best way to do this. You know, like he is so, how would you say, arrogant that Karrion Kross, the guy who beat the shit out of Tommaso Ciampa, beat the shit out of Keith Lee, this guy, and Santos Escobar is the cruiserweight champion, and he's like, I could take him, no problem. Like, it's no problem. And I guess they're gonna have this match, and I love it. I love it because I'm a fan of both of these guys, and this is some AAA shit. Okay, Karrion Kross worked for a long time in AAA. Santos Escobar spent 20 years in AAA, where his dad is a legend, El Fantasma. And he's El Hijo del Fantasma, the son of Fantasma. And he was unmasked recently within the last couple of years, and that's when he made the jump to WWE. But he was also in Lucha Underground. So the Karrion Kross, this is a thing where they can I don't know if they worked against each other in AAA. I'm pretty sure if I look up they did. I know that, but this is like AAA as fuck. Like, this is awesome. And I know they can have a badass match, but I'm just so concerned that people are going to find out how old, Santos Escobar is, and find out that he's just an elderly 35-year-old man. It's like you can't have 20 years of experience and be 20 years old. So the guy's got 20 years of experience. That's far, and he's in great shape, fantastic shape. He doesn't look old, so he should be, a top guy. And maybe this is his first step to getting there. They're finally putting some steam behind Santos Escobar, and they're giving Karrion Kross something else to do because the title is tied up in some other stuff right now. So I love this. Obviously I think that Karrion Kross is just going to win, which doesn't bode well for Santos Escobar, but Karrion Kross is not 205. So it's going to be a situation where he was, fighting outside of his weight class, and Karrion Kross is a big guy, and, he's got 100 excuses. He's a heel. He can lose and make 100 excuses. The only problem I have with this is Karrion Kross is also a heel. So, are we going, and Santos Escobar is the antagonist here. He's the guy who started the problem. He came out there cutting the promo about being the champion of champions and not ever getting injured, and nice cars and premium mamacitas, and that it takes more than that to be a champion. And he's basically messing with Karrion Kross first. So I guess he's the heel in this situation because he's the one who started the problem. But I really like this. So it goes to commercial, and when we come back, Edge is fist bumping with Bronson Reed. We don't get to, he doesn't get the big hug or anything like that. We don't hear them say anything to each other. So then the camera guys follow Edge outside, and they said, well, Edge, have you made a decision yet? And then Edge was like, well, no, but, I wouldn't tell you anyway. And then Karrion Kross gets in Edge's face. And I was almost standing up at this point. I was like, whoa, okay. And then Kross tells him, like, hey, I don't it's not going to be Pete Dunne. It's not going to be Finn Balor. It's going to be me. I'm telling you that now. Like, you better make your decision based off logic and not emotion, because you're not fighting Finn Balor. You're not fighting Pete Dunne. If you want the NXT title, you're going to be fighting me. And Edge says, you keep talking like that, I may have to come back. And I was like, okay, really? Really? All right. I'll see you when you get back. I love these guys, man. NXT, they're so confrontational. Like, everybody will get in anybody's face in NXT. It feels like the whole roster, knows that other people exist. Like sometimes you have that problem of there's no saves. Like babyface is getting beat up and they're just getting beat to a pulp and nobody does anything. But at other times, like on this show, we're talking about what other people are doing. Johnny Gargano is talking about what his wife is doing and what his protege is doing. And he also got his own feud going on. And it's all mixed up together because he's also still dealing with Leon Ruff because he's been dealing with Leon Ruff for a while now. So it's all, and Dexter Loomis too. So it seems like everybody knows everybody's thing and everybody's a part of it. Everybody's paying attention to what everybody's doing. And now you got this guy who's like, I didn't like the idea that you went in there talking about winning that title. Like, I want you to let you know that's my belt. I never lost it. And it's a great story of Edge trying to get back something he never lost. And Karrion Kross also in a situation where he's trying to get back something he's never lost. But he's very patiently taking his time. Normally a guy would be an asshole and try to make a triple threat match or something like that. Karrion Kross is being very patient. And that actually makes him a lot more dangerous because he's already dispatched Damian Priest from from NXT. And it's like, okay, now is that what's going to happen to Santos Escobar? Is Santos Escobar going to get beat up and then sent packing and no longer be on NXT? I don't know. But there's a lot of interest there. And I would love an Edge Karrion Kross match. Jesus Christ. I would love that. That would be amazing. But it ain't going to happen no time soon. So I'm not going to. It's a nice tease. Wonderful tease. Not going to happen no time soon. So the main event, Undisputed Era, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, defeated by Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. This match fucking ruled. This match ruled. This match was very good. It was technical. It was also physical. There was some silliness about all four guys being in the ring at one time. There was some of that, where you had I think what was it? Thatcher was in the figure four and Ciampa was in the Boston Crab in the ring at the same time. It's like, other than stuff like that, those guys were in there laying the leather, chopping the shit out of each other. Roderick Strong is such an amazing workhorse. And, so is Thatcher and so is Ciampa. And, Cole has such, incredible charisma. He's not the workhorse the other three guys are, but he adds, something different to the match. He's faster. He's flashier. So it was really good. I really had and I liked the finish. The finish made sense. Strong got suplexed suplexed Timothy Thatcher on the ring apron. It's something that, not the ring apron, the barricade on the outside. It's a back suplex. Bent him across the barricade. And then Thatcher goes over the barricade onto the other side. And you thinking, oh shit, that just isolated Tommaso Ciampa, so they're screwed. And as Roderick Strong is getting in the ring, he gets hit with a hanging DDT, the Widow's Bell, and he gets pinned. So Thatcher, Ciampa win. That's good. Now, of course, that leads us to the question. They will face, first, before I get there, they will be facing Grizzled Young Veterans in the next round, and that's going to be fucking fun. Grizzled Young Veterans versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. That was the site of when we went off the air. Those two teams fighting because they had, Grizzled Young Veterans came and Zach Gibson was talking his shit, and Ciampa and Thatcher didn't want to hear it, so he started beating those guys up. But I'm interested in what we do with Adam Cole now. Because Adam Cole is now out of the tournament. Him and Roderick Strong are out of the tournament. Kyle O'Reilly is done with his thing with Finn Balor. What are we going to do with these guys? Are we really going to have an NXT takeover without Adam Cole? Because Adam Cole's not going to be there. That ought to be very interesting. What else is there? What else is there for him to do? I think that we probably need to begin the dissolution of the Undisputed Era. that we probably need to start chipping away at it and making and changing it. Like you need to have some of these guys move on and do different things. Like I'm still waiting for, I'm glad that Kyle O'Reilly got his main event run. And yeah, Roderick Strong kind of got a main event run in 2016, 2017 when he had that wonderful run with Robert Roode. If you are sort of new to NXT and you done like, okay, well, what years do I watch? Go watch the 16, 17 years of NXT. Asuka and Aleister Black and Robert Roode and McIntyre, the later years of Nakamura and stuff like that. Oh, that stuff was fire. NXT was hitting every week. It was hitting. But the Undisputed Era has been taking up a lot of time on the card. We have to do something with them now that they're out of the tournament. I have no idea what we can do. Do we take them off TV for a little while? Give these guys a break? I mean, they did. Most of them didn't work through the pandemic. I believe Roderick Strong probably did, but I think Kyle O'Reilly sat at home most of that time. And Adam Cole was the champion. He wasn't wrestling a lot at that time. But I don't know what you do with Undisputed Era. I don't know what their next step is. And that's a good question. That's something we had to put some thought into. And I think that the knee jerk is to just break them up. But also there is some interest, at least from me, is to see them feud with Legado del Fantasma before they break up. Because I want to see Escobar, Adam Cole, and it don't have to be for the Cruiserweight title, but I want to see Legado del Fantasma fight the Undisputed Era. To me, that would be fun. Based off of what the stuff that Santos Escobar was talking about him being the champion of champions, and him being, this being his empire, and him, trying to reestablish Lucha Libre and all this type of stuff. And Karrion Kross is a hell of a way to start this thing. I would have loved for them to have started with Undisputed Era, so that he could have these matches with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong and to see Legado del Fantasma versus Red Dragon if, Bobby Fish ever shows back up, to see Kyle O'Reilly and Santos Escobar. Like, oh, man, we could have, that could be a feud for the bulk of the year. We could even have that feud going into War Games because, it could be Undisputed Era plus one guy versus Legado del Fantasma and two more guys, and then it's even sweeter because I think Imperium's going to be coming up. Maybe Imperium's coming back. Does that mean Walter's coming? Or is it going to be three-man Imperium? Either way, NXT UK really needs Walter, so I wouldn't take him from NXT UK. But you have some factions there, so maybe that's the reason why I don't really want to break them up, is because you can run it back with Imperium. Wolf, Bartel, Eichner versus Undisputed Era. You could also do Undisputed Era and Legado del Fantasma. You could also do Legado del Fantasma versus Imperium. So you have some stuff there to do. But I don't see how you get there. Like, I don't see how you could get any more blood out of this turnip that's called Undisputed Era. How could you get more blood out of this turnip? The only feud they have left is Legado del Fantasma. They feuded with everybody else. They tried to win the Dusty Cup. They've won all the fucking titles. What more can you do? And that's a good question. I know that's a situation that NXT is dealing with. Is Tommaso Ciampa's in the same boat? He's done everything. He won all the titles. Now he's about to try to win the Dusty Cup. Maybe he'll win it. Hopefully, Grizzled Young Veterans win it. But when he's out of this tournament, what is he going to do? What is his next role? And these guys are not going to Raw or SmackDown. At least I don't think so. At least Tommaso Ciampa for sure isn't. So what is his next role? He can't be the gatekeeper. That's Johnny Gargano. And then he can't go to the top of the card because, Karrion Kross is there and Finn Balor is there and Pete Dunne needs it because he's a young guy. And I will give the complainers about age, give them some, I'll throw them a bone here. Pete Dunne is ready to lead this brand. He's not the best promo. He's one of the best workers. And Edge was 100% correct that the second E that the E is not as important on NXT. The wrestling is. And people will know just watching NXT that Pete Dunne is top tier. And I think that if NXT UK, if the pandemic hadn't happened, I think NXT would look completely different. Because I think a lot of the guys that's on NXT UK now would have swept into NXT because they was already trying to bring over Tony Storm, but I think they would have probably brought over Mustache Mountain already, and they probably would have brought over some of the other people. They were Ridge Holland. They brought him over. They probably would have brought over a lot of other people and just cleaned that place out, and then sent a lot of these people up to Raw and SmackDown, like the Keith Lees and the Damian Priests. Those guys would have, those guys would have left anyway, and then they just would have been replaced with like Tyler Bate and Trent Seven and some of the other guys that was from the UK and Pete Dunne. I can see that was probably their plan. Their plan was to slowly but surely get people off of NXT UK and bring them into NXT. And it started with Rhea Ripley. When Rhea Ripley came in, she came in kind of as a heel slash, but she ended up being a huge baby face. And then Tony Storm came next. And then they were teasing Mustache Mountain because Mustache Mountain was at Worlds Collide. They wrestled DIY. Then they were teasing Imperium. They were teasing Finn Balor going to the NXT UK, right? They were teasing a lot of this stuff. There was going to be some talent exchanges to freshen up NXT. I saw clearly the plan. And then you started seeing slowly but surely some guys from NXT UK coming to NXT. You started seeing Imperium come over. You saw Ridge Holland come over. You saw Pete Dunne come over. So I think they're slowly but surely going to get some of those guys from NXT UK back here to NXT. But what are you going to do with some of the other, I don't want to call it, some of the ancillary characters, your Leon Ruffs, what are you going to do with him? But a lot of the people who are probably going to be leaving NXT UK are people who have exhausted everything they can do there. And it's likely to be the Flash Morgan Websters and Mark Andrews types and the, like I said, the Mustache Mountain types, the Grizzly Young Veterans, those guys. And so I think that's their plan. But, with that damn waiting list and all that shit, who the hell knows? And maybe that's what they're waiting for. Maybe they're trying to get Jordan Devlin over to the United States so they can have that big match with Santos Escobar, so that they could put the belt probably on Devlin and then send Escobar to SmackDown or something like that. I mean, that might be fine too. But I'm interested either way. There's going to be, I think NXT is going to look a lot different by the end of the year. Because it has to. A lot of these guys have hit a wall where they've wrestled everybody. And now it's time to cycle in new people. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. And if you want to send me money, hit the Cash App. I would greatly appreciate it. Please send me money. Pretty please, with a cherry on top. Buy me a shawarma. It's $5.99. And I love them. I really do. They're really good. And now I can walk to the store and get one. Yikes. I'm going to be 900 pounds in this bitch. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.
Da, 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 da.